Today I'm in the village of Zeal Monachorum in mid-Devon. Now the unusual name, Zeal Monachorum, goes back centuries and means the cell where the monks lived. Now the name Zeal Monachorum appears in the Doomsday book, so we know it's been here for 1,000 years. The church itself is 800 years old. We'll have a look inside if it's open. We'll also walk around the graveyard. Well, as I approach the church, it looks as though it's open, and I'm grateful for that because it's just starting to rain. Hopefully just a quick shower. So let's have a look inside the church first. Well, it's a small church, complete with some original or very old pews on my right, tiled floor. Not very many memorials on the walls, but that's possibly due to some renovations that would have been done over the centuries. At the rear of the church is the base of the bell tower. You can see the ropes here, so presumably still in use. And you can see here the thickness of the walls and the original stonework. Now the wooden pulpit is rather special because it is a memorial to the men who gave their lives in the First War. There are some 10 names on this panel, some carving as we move around, and another 9 names on there. And if we go around to this side, just a few extra words. So, from this very small parish, the current population of Zeal Monachorum is 400 people. There are 19 names on this pulpit of men who died in the First World War. The only memorial on the wall is this one to Mary, the wife of George Snell Hill. She died in 1845, aged 66. And then their daughter, Mary Anscott Hill, who died in 1825. She was 16 years. Well, I'm back outside now, and the rain seems to have stopped. One of the very special things about this churchyard is this magnificent yew tree. It is believed to be 1,000 years old. I have no idea how they estimate that, but I believe that's what the general agreement is. So that yew tree has stood here almost from the Doomsday book, and is older than the church itself. Just beside the main entrance are these 2 very large table tombs, chest tombs, behind these very sturdy iron railings. I think there's a name on the left-hand one, and I'm seeing the name of John Sweet of Burstone in this parish, who died the 3rd of May 1851, I think, aged 68 years. Now the one next door is quite a different design, and there is an iron railing between the 2 tombs, so I'm suggesting that that is of a different family, but the inscription's on the top face and is completely unreadable. Now up near the main door with the yew tree on my right is the base of what would have been a preaching cross. Unfortunately it's now broken. The preaching crosses were in the grounds of a church, and so when the weather was fine and the congregation was too big for the church, the minister would come outside the church and stand on the preaching cross, and people would gather around throughout the churchyard. They exist in quite a lot of the parish churches in this part of the world. Unfortunately, this one has got broken over the years. In the background is a couple of lovely thatched cottages, almost certainly dating back several centuries, and overlooking the churchyard. If we look at some of the names on the stones, this one is Christian Geoffrey. I'm not getting a date off that. Move across to this one, Samuel Bushell, 1890. And then in memory of Henry Charles, 1865. And down here is a horizontal one, Phoebe Margaret Searles, 1905, aged 73. This is to William Martin, 1924, and Jane, the beloved wife of the above, who followed in 1927. I'll make my way across to this one. Frank Vickery, 1923, aged 39 years, 1933, and then his wife Margaret Amelia in 79. So she spent a lot of her life after her husband had died. Well, I'm walking up the steep slope of the graveyard now, with the cottages in the background. Quite a lot of wind today. I hope you're not getting too much wind noise. This one here is John Hooper, 1952. Another John Hooper, and that's 1890 something. And this one's leaning at a precarious angle. James Stentiford, gardener at the rectory, 1909, age 67. And another Stentiford. Moving back, this one to James Haskins, 1871, age 72. And I see another Haskins back here, 1848, age 79. And let's pan round slowly, show you the rest of the churchyard. Although the sun is better working in this direction, all the inscriptions are facing away from us. Now there's another set of iron railings ahead of me. One facing this direction. This is Thomas Baker, looks like 1832, aged 79. Samuel Hook, 1846 possibly. Moving across to John Pike, 1879. And then we come to the sets of railings again. We'll take the smaller set of railings on my right first. Quite ornamental at the top here. And this is Kitty Rayford, age 65, and Maria Horn Honeychurch. Now let's make our way around to the larger set of railings, but perhaps a little less ornate. At the top we see commemorative, but unfortunately the rest of it we can't really make out. Oh, that's a shame. Now what's happening around the other side of these railings? There's another stone being put in here. What's this about? Again, it's difficult to make it out, and a broken one there. So unfortunately we're not really understanding that part. This is Hilda Ruth Pedler, 1894, aged just 27 years. And moving across to this one, I can see the name Elizabeth. At the bottom we've got Sarah Ann Pedler. This one is Susan Clotworthy, 1922, aged 79 years. Let's move across to this one, which is leaning forward. William Pike, 1887, aged 57. And then move back a bit, rather grand one, cross and a built up plinth area around it. There is an inscription on the base, but unless the camera can do better than me, I can't make that one out. And then down the slope, on the bank just above the church, Edwin Thomas Allen, rector of this parish, who died in 1910, aged 77 years, and then Sarah, his wife, a little later. And this is an interesting one, long way out of area. Polly, the only daughter of Robert and Jane Woodman of Bootle in Lancashire, who departed this life in 1894, aged 6 years and some months, might be 7. Bootle in Lancashire, it's got to be 150, 200 miles from here. And what is she doing tucked away in this little, fairly remote village? Well, I've worked my way up to the far end of the churchyard. Let me just pan around. You can see, hopefully, the distant hills. Lovely part of the countryside here in mid-Devon. Now up this end it's all the newer graves. The one in front of me, 1980. One behind is quite an interesting design. I rather like that. That's Marjorie, 1980, beloved wife of George Dampier Bennett of Zeal Rectory. Now if I work along the line here, there's some little flowers growing on that. That's rather nice, been planted. Francis John Kimber, Edwin George Hosegood, Doris Edith Adams, Lewis George Quick of Loose Beer Manor. And so these are the people that have been living here. I have to love it. I just noticed this one. There's a new grave. You can see the turf has only just been put back. But there are 6 bottles of man's beer, brown ale, and the flowers have been set in those. And in fact, they've actually cast a little concrete plinth to hold the 6 bottles. I can get across to the name just to remember. This is Terence Frank Willison, who died in 2024. That's nice, very nice indeed. Let's wander up amongst the new graves slowly. What I'm not seeing in the graveyard is any war memorials, headstones, but I guess that's because they mark the graves of people that died back in this country. The 19 names we saw on the pulpit are of those that died out on the front in France and Belgium, and they would have been buried out there. But it's unusual to find a graveyard without any war memorials. There you are, we've got another one, former rector of this parish, Dorothea Smith, youngest sister of the Reverend Smith. Oh, that stands out rather clearly. Cecil George Yelland, and the flowers on it. Trevor Burrow. Now notice up here there is a plaque on the old wall, and if we look on the wall it says 1939, this piece of land was the gift of the rector, Reverend E.H. Smith, for the extension of the churchyard of this parish. Well, that's the lovely little church and churchyard in the quaint and beautiful village of Zeal Monachorum. And you can just feel the history when you realise the church is 800 years old, the yew tree is probably 1,000 years old. And the village itself was kept the same name back in the Doomsday book more than 1,000 years ago. Well, I'm going to draw this to a conclusion now. It's a lovely little spot, tucked away down some narrow country lanes. But if you get the chance to come to Zeal Monachorum, I do recommend it. Hope you enjoyed the little tour. Till the next time.